Okay. So what we're going to do is have this one be below the quilt. You won't be able to see it at all. Then grab the smaller frame and bring it into the corner of the one beneath it. And you don't have to be able to see them to do this, which is very important because this frame is going to be out of sight and below. And then you'll just do the same thing I just did, bring the corner together, and then that connects them together without you having to be able to see them. Just as you see here, how I'm able to spin it around. So to learn how to use these, really what you're trying to do is get your non-dominant hand to grab a corner and keep them together. And you don't need to squeeze hard. It's a very light touch. You can also support with your pinky and your thumb like that, and then just, you can swing it around however you want. Then the handle, which you use to steer this, sits in the top one, and you rest your hand on the one below, and you're going to put your elbows down as you draw. So now I'm going to take and place this beneath the needle, which is a bare needle right now. And I'm going to give it a try with a small needle and see if I can stitch on the white without the quilt lifting with the needle. Because if the needle is really small, it exits the fabric easier. If not, I'll have to use a foot. And in that case, it's a Free-Motion foot. Speaking of feet, my foot needed to get underneath. All right. So once again, place the one frame beneath. There goes that mouse. And the smaller frame goes on top. And then I use my little elbow pillows to rest my elbows on, because when you quilt with the Octi-Hoops, you don't have to raise your elbows. You're able to put them down. It's also important to center yourself with the needle. And I'm way off to one side. If you want the pattern for this, it is inside of the Communities tab inside of my YouTube channel, and also inside of Create with Claire Rowley, which is at the top of the chat. It says Learn, and then that's the website to take you right to my school, where you can look for other free patterns as well. Why am I using such a small needle? Because I'm trying to be able to sew without leaving a large hole on the white ink, because white ink is sticky. So we'll see how this goes. It was kind of neat when I quilted with the larger needle, but it did create larger holes. And all I had on that fish was the plain white. It didn't have any oyster shell shapes to it. It didn't have any scale shapes. So just the needle and using a thread color that created a bluish or grayish tint made the fish have scales. Isn't that cool? I think that I was impressed with how that turned out. Oh my God, we got the echo again. This is crazy. Okay. Oh my goodness, entertainment. I don't know if they'd call me an entertainment channel today. Pretty sure that's that. And every time I switch cameras, it's gonna try to bring up the camera's microphone for some reason. So I'm gonna have to change those settings. All right, here we are with no foot. And I have the 100 weight Invasifil thread, and it is a little bit of a greenish color. didn't want white because I do want that glow of the aqua color of the water to kind of come through. And I'm not sure how these bins look because I just drew this out of my head and I didn't have a photo or anything. So here we are getting, once again, a pull on the fabric as it's exiting. So I am going to switch and put on a presser foot. And this is the foot style that I prefer when I am forced to use a foot with the Octi-Hoops. This has a open front end, which makes it easier to see what you're stitching. This goes around the screw. And then this little bar right here is going to bounce on the needle bar. It has that spring action, which makes the foot hop up and down. Now, the issue with that is this banging on that or that banging against that can cause the screw to loosen on your needle bar. So you'll want to tighten your screw a little bit more than finger tight to make sure that it does not come loose while you're sewing. Just a little bit though. If you go too much, then you can have other issues. And I don't have, I'm using, that's not the baby lock screwdriver. Here we go. This is a baby lock, in case you're wondering. Hi, Allison. All right, now I don't have to worry about the fabric lifting with the foot or with the needle, and I'll get better stitch quality as a result. I'm just kind of guessing at what would happen, what this fin would look like. Have any of you done any thread play before? Basically, you can do this with all kinds of purposes in mind. And in this case, I'm using the thread play to enhance that which I have already painted onto the fabric. Sewing in trifocals, that's right. I am sewing in readers right now. And it definitely helps to do a good job if you need glasses to wear them when doing something like this, and to not have cameras and other equipment right in front of your line of sight. So as I'm quilting, I'm having to tip my head to the side, which is really bad for your neck and for the vertebrae between your shoulder blades. So make sure that you are seated and resting your body on the table. You might need to push your sewing machine back further away from you to get to the point where you can put your elbows down. And I know it may sound weird to have your elbows resting, but that's one of the great things about all of my products, that you are able to put your elbows down when working. So I don't know what I just drew there, but I feel like they also have a little bit of a translucentness to their tails. I'm going to add a little bit of a flowing kind of echo stitch there. I have been working very hard to get my cameras to be good. This is pretty cool, huh? This camera angle. Right there with you as you would be on your machine. You don't have to go fast. Go as slow as feels comfortable for you. Now I'm going to follow the shadow that is around there. And so here I am using this very thin thread, and my thread broke. And the reason it broke is I moved my hand relatively fast while I was slowing, which is in part why I don't recommend you ever have your needle stop in the down position. So if your machine is set to have the needle stop in the down position, as you take your foot off the foot, it'll slow down the machine and cause a tightening of the tension on the thread. I also kind of want to have my thread be a richer color and show up now that I'm off the fish's tail. Whenever working with free motion and not using a foot, it's very easy to forget to raise the foot when changing thread. And it's super important that you do so. Otherwise, your tension cannot be open, and you might then start sewing after you rethread, and the thread is laying on the outside of the tensions, causing a looping on the bottom of your project, which is not very attractive and extremely frustrating. If you have ever had the thread pile up, give me a thumbs up, share your story. I like this color right here. And this is a heavier weight thread. It feels like a deco bob, but it's not. It's polyfast, which means this is 40 weight. Good time to buy thread with that 30% member 30 coupon that ends probably right after, about an hour after this live will end. So it's a very short term 30% off coupon. Deco bob is nice because it's 80 weight, so it'll be in between, and this is too thick for this needle. Let's give you that to look at, and I'm gonna see about finding another Invasifil thread that color. Didn't one of you do a sloth project? I wanted to see the quilting done on it. We are having a thunderstorm right now. I think I'm just gonna stick with the Invasifil threads, and you can see how shiny and pretty they are. However, one of the reasons why I prefer them to the polyfast is that the polyfast will shine more. This one, they have a process that they do to it. They call it cottonizing, and it takes the reflection and drops it down to what a cotton thread would look like. And that means that you're going to see your stitching on your fabric more in a subtle manner and not cover up your artwork so much. Yeah, that was me being lazy. I knew I needed to change. You cannot use your large needle threader when you're working with a 40 weight thread and a 70-10 needle. It's too small for the thread. Not the eye as much as the front groove going down the front of the needle. You need to make sure that your thread can always fit in that long groove going down the front of the needle. Otherwise, the thread will come too close to the hook assembly, and as the hook comes around to pick up the thread, it'll nick the thread, causing a little damage to it. And then the take-up lever that goes up and down in the front of your machine will pull the thread up, and then when it comes back through the eye, it will scrunch up, and that's what gives you that scrunched up shredding thread process or appearance to your thread when working with complex designs or when you really push your machine like I am here today. Now this is a beautiful gunmetal color. Now this is color 122. Whoop. Having trouble figuring out where to put it so you can see it. There we go. So number 122 of the wonderful Invasifil thread. And we do have this in large cones and also in smaller cones. And this is a really pretty blue. Did any of you do any of the inking and create something and actually do the thread play on it yet? It is so much fun, Allison. I feel like one of you at least has taken my class in the Babbling Brook. You've done that too? Did I show everybody? I don't think I showed everybody. Oh, I did. I showed everybody Dixie last week, or last live. Come on, thread. If you're curious to know what I'm using in the bobbin, I generally will try to leave one color in the bobbin for medium to dark colors, have like a gray, I'm starting to say per se. When did that start? Have a gray bobbin for your medium to dark colors and a white or cream color bobbin for your lighter colors. You could add and have 3 and have 1 for midtones if you like. This makes it so you don't have to have a different bobbin for every color thread that you use, and you don't want to have a light color bobbin with a dark color needle thread because you're more likely to have your bobbin come up to the top when doing work like this because of the stickiness. Sorry about that. That phone should be on silent. Now it is. And that's how I hear myself, is through my phone. In case you were wondering how all of that works. There's a lot of rumbling. It is officially the monsoon season in Prescott, Arizona, where I am currently located. And I'm not even going to do this. I know that I shouldn't. I'm just going to try one more time. I should not even try to use the needle threader with this. And to get my thread through the eye of the needle, I'm using one of these little needle threaders. It has a very, very thin little hook on it. It's so hard for me to figure out where to put my fingers. So I'm going to take this and use my glasses. Uh-oh, I'm not using the right camera. That's what's going on. That's why. Wrong camera. So you can see the little hook on there now. And I just push it through the eye of the needle from back to front. And the hook is facing upward. Get it hooked and then pull it through. Another thing that helps you to see is to place something white. If you look right now at the eye of the needle, you can't really see it, but when I put something white, like my fingernail, that's usually what I use to see the eye of the needle better. All right, now I need to keep in mind I have a dark color thread. So I don't want to just go crazy. This is going to be an extreme contrast to what I've already been doing. And I haven't changed my bobbin. I'm going to see how it goes before I take the time to change it. And you can go slow. I'm going to take my shoe off because I'm very inconsistent with my speed with my shoe on. And you can also reduce the speed of your machine using a speed control. I was going to call it cruise control. And here we go. What I've done has been to choose to go above where the white is, which means I'm basically outlining my fish. I'm not sure how I feel about that yet. We'll see. It's a thin thread. I'm pretty much committed now to outlining my fish in the dark color. What do you think? Is it messing it up? It's not too late for me to rip out those threads. Is everybody there? Did I lose you? Now here I did not finish stitching. This is what the fish looked like before. So I kind of had a little bit of an impression of scales, so I'm going to need to grab my orange and finish that. You like it? Okay. I think it's going to make it stand out more. Had an alert yesterday for our thunderstorm. It was dangerous. And they actually sent us messages on our cell phones, which is a new thing. At least new for me. I must be a member of something I don't know how I got. Because I'm going close to the fish above, I'm also going to go below. And then I'm going to come back and grab the rest of that shadow. This is the secret to making the fish appear to be in water, is to have that shadow drop on everything that's in this pond. I'm going to just continue over here. Backtrack. See how I can be that accurate. And the reason I can be that accurate is because I'm using this to steer the quilt. If I tried doing that without my Octi-Hoops, I would not have been able to go right back over where I already was. Feel free to ask questions as I doodle about. I have put in 60 hours in only 3 days, so I'm a little bit fatigued, and that is partly why I didn't have some new projects for you today. So I'm going to create kind of like a little bit of a movement of the water by echo quilting. I'm going to bring it and have it join the shadow, because I'd like to enhance the rocks with some brown. Just tie a knot by moving very little in a small space and cut. Let you evaluate with me. You gotta be really careful not to damage your needle when you pull your quilt out. What do you think? Did that make the fish stand out even more? This is one of these projects where my son would say, you need to just have fun and not film everything. Well, I still filmed it, but it ended up being 12 hours of footage. So I feel like I like the way that looks. However, I have a little bit more of a greenish shade here. And it would be nice to have it vary along. I could switch to brown and go in and do the rocks right now. I can't believe how little I've quilted so far. I did do this. So you can see how I stitched on this one with a medium green and then a light green. So there is a lot of changing of the colors, like with embroidery, when you do this type of work. Instead of just quilting like you would normally just meander about on a quilt, this is, in essence, enhancing the work that you've done. So do you think I should do the same color around this fish now and maybe the little ones? And are these little? Are these fish small baby fish, or are they further down inside of the tank? If they are, then I don't want the blue to be as strong on this one. I want it to be more of a subtle gray color. And then I don't want to lose this cool swirling behavior. So the same color thread. I'm going to do that on the bigger fish. I feel like it would be really cool to also, I have the same camera twice. How did I do that? So same color from this one to that one. Thumbs up. I'm going to. That is what I was trying to do, is to make, at least the yellow one, was try to make it look like it was further down. But there are different ages of fish inside of a koi pond, aren't there? I've done this whole fish live. I think I have. I should do some of this recorded. Elbows down, shoulders relaxed. I don't have to go really fast, and then starting to get really big hail on the roof. I don't know if you can hear that. As I move, I push on the bottom frame and scoot it over, and then I scoot over the top frame, and that's how I move across. You don't have to undo anything because nothing is really attached to anything. So we are officially having a hail storm. I'm getting close to the frame over here, so I'm going to scoot and scoot. And we're not in a hurry. We want it to look good when we're finished, more than being fast. The thunder is rolling. I'm always faster when I actually Sorry, my phone started ringing in my ear. Should not be doing that. I lost my train of thought. All these different changes have occurred. New updates on the phone. Now, I couldn't get it to move. And the reason I couldn't get it to move is because I was laying on the quilt. not using my little pillow, which keeps me from doing that. So if I can do that, know that you will probably do that as well. And don't feel too bad about it. It gets real cozy when you're resting your body while doing something like this. And it's easy to forget because everything is soft and fluffy that you might be actually laying on the quilt and not allowing it to move. Another place where it can get stuck is in front of you if you're leaning against your table. Getting scary out there. I was contemplating going around the eyes with this color. Should I? We will think about it. I didn't do it with the other one, so. All right, I'm going to hop over and tie a knot. And then, because I sat and tied a knot at the beginning, at the end of that stitch and the beginning of this one, I can just cut it. And I'm using a little bit of creative license here, but I'm also trying to count on the artwork. That looks bad to me. Ugh, I don't like that at all. I'll probably go in and remove that stitch. We'll see if it still shows up. See, my instinct was to use a little bit lighter color on this fish, and I didn't. Perhaps I can make it blend in. Tying a knot. Decide later. Let's get to these. So everywhere there's a really dark shadow, like around the, I know they're leaves. What kind of leaves are they? I'm having a not able to remember the name of these plants. Help me. Show me how smart you are. What kind of plants are these? Oh, come on, brain. It's so disappointing when the names fail me. Now, I'm going to hop over and cut that so that that ring of white will be on top of the because this is a ripple on the top of the pond, and this helps you see that these leaves, lily pads, thank you. So these lily pads, sometimes the lily pads are on top of the water and sometimes the water flows over them. So I'm going to stop again and hop. And then tie a knot again. My way down that stem. Lily pads. Would you be interested in being able to buy this fabric and then do the thread play rather than having to do the inking part? I did photograph it with the intent to be able to print on fabric. Just not sure how you guys, where you guys are at on that. It's a little painstaking to do this, but this is art. This is not just quilting. The difference between art and quilting. You can pretty much do whatever you want on fiber art, where there are rules to follow. Right. That would be cool. Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking about you guys because I know some of you are like, I'm not feeling like I'm ever going to be really good at doing the fiber painting. The quilting part would be fun. By the way, I will not be here next week. I will be in Colorado with my daughter. And I might pop in. It won't be a Fabrically Speaking live. It will just be me popping in live just to say hi. I might not. If I forget because I'm having too much fun with my little girl, well, then that will be that. If I'm somewhere and feel like doing it, know that I'm always carrying you guys around with me. So I really am. Feel like I'm so limited. I always have to have the sewing machine because it's a sewing channel, which is partly why I'm going to be opening up the clarerowley channel, which this is already that. So it's hard to be me. I've got a lot of different things that I do. What do you think? Do you think I should have other things on a separate channel or keep it all in one channel? Your thoughts on that? I'm going to go around this little guy. I should have gone with a little bit lighter color. I'm going to stop. And while I'm at it, I'm going to use this darker color on the eyes. If you're wondering why I'm not bringing up my bobbin thread every time, it's because this machine is not just a regular, it is a regular sewing machine. In other words, it doesn't have an embroidery function. However, it has a feature built into it because they use the same body to make embroidery machines so that it squeezes the tension when I start. So I don't have as many issues as you might when starting and not bringing up the bobbin. I feel like enhancing his mouth might be nice too. Gotta make his face stand out a little bit more. I have a life. I do. And I am bringing my computer to write. As I am in the process of writing a book called Finding Feathers, which is a spiritual book. My spiritual journey. I'm going to hop. And when you do the hopping from one area to the other, you really should raise the foot to release the tension, especially with a needle this small. Know that I also do not have this back. frequently do not back my fiber art quilts until I am done with most of the stitching. That way it doesn't look so messy on the back side when you do have your backing on there. Sorry about the bouncing. I forgot my arm is right there with the camera. I'll go back afterward and cut off all these tails. If I do print this fabric, then I can have a class on just stitching it again. Once again, hopping. Ah, so much hail coming down. Oh, hail. I'm glad it's doing that though, because it cools down by like 15 degrees cooler when our monsoon kicks in. Do you guys have it down there, Amy? We having a monsoon right now as well? You can see here this dark mauve color, that was actually the thread that I used to stitch on the lily pad flower, which is what, a lotus flower? Is that what they're called? This is something you could do afterward. However, if I plan on doing some more stitching, it gets harder and harder to cut off your carryovers. You have more colors crossing over, and you can lose track of what you're doing. No, how hot is it down there? I know it was 90 something on my way to work. So. It's been hot lately. I really want to. I'm going to switch to a light color now. I'm going to do the little ringlet, the rings of. Should I do that? I should do that last. I'm having a conversation with who? Let's do some rock. So once again, I'm going to be putting this one beneath and this one on top, raising the foot to slide it beneath. However, I do have the hoop designed so that it has a groove on all of the points for you to be able to slide it beneath a foot. It was so funny because like all of a sudden it just stopped and then it started again, like someone turned the water off and turned it back on. I'm 61. I know this shouldn't be so exciting, but it is always exciting when the monsoons start and everything starts to turn green. Oh, it gets so lush and pretty, and our lakes fill up. It's when we get most of our rain is in the summer. 113 degrees down there. All right. How hot is it in Oregon and wherever the rest of you are? What are your temps today? Are you guys still with me? Did you disappear on me? It's a blue. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to change to a brown. I can hear Garth Brooks singing, and the thunder rolls in my head. Maybe a gray. All these colors to choose from and even more. And you could too if you go on creativefeet.com and buy some. So what's nice is it's super thin, and it's also great for top stitching, which is what I recommend for top stitching on couture sewing. And we have some mossy rocks and we have some not mossy rocks. Haven't done all the lily pads yet. I need to look at it and evaluate it, and I highly recommend you do the same thing when you're working on your own. That you don't keep the quilt there and look really close at it, that before you do any thread color choices that you lay it out and have an evaluation moment with yourself. That's the real color. I can just get that other camera to not be so, it's like, don't do it. I'm gonna try one more time to fix this camera because it's really bugging me how bright it is. Just a little bit less saturation here. That better? I also looked like I was glowing red and stuff. It's good enough. So back to looking at this and realizing that this could be boring. Is it boring, you guys, or are you enjoying yourselves? This one's definitely a no, no, no. Too bright. This one is quite dark though, but would drop in and does look like the color of the rock. So I could really get in there and have some fun. And if I can finish like this section of the rocks and then do that circle, then I'll feel happy with what I've achieved. I love that one. You can tell I love it. This one's half gone. Oh, we got the hail again. You're not bored? Okay, good. Because I could be doing other things. Say a prayer right now for my roommate's cat. That would be awesome. Okay, once again, I have to add my needle. I'll tell you, it took me a while after moving and then moving and then moving what I had moved into another situation and then organizing all of that to get to where I can actually film. I am finally there. All this ink on me and I don't know what I did. I don't feel like I drew anything today. But you know, I am an artist, so I'm a lot more doodly than I realize sometimes. Maybe I should just do this. See, but like, yeah, maybe just this one. What do you think? That's less. In case you didn't know, it's less. See, I was like, how am I going to handle the poles? I'm going to do it all. All right. And this is how I feel about this. So hard for me to stop. But here we go. So you can see this little slot here. It makes it so you can just slide. You can slide and not ever have to worry about your needle ever making contact with the hoop. If you're chatting within Facebook, sorry, I can't see it this week. I don't know. I only had like 30 minutes to go live when I arrived here. And that includes creating the image and sending out the notifications. Go around the lily pad. Never leave tails with thread because they'll just distract you. Wow, I inked this in 2021, you guys. It's a long time ago. So much has changed in that time. Collectively, we have all been through a lot since that date. Aha. All right, here we go. We're gonna play around with the rocks now. Wow, one of those hails just sounded like a bullet. By the way, I've gotten to lower my feed dogs. As usual. I'm gonna go ahead and lower them so you know you can. There you go. My daughter is also a creative person and is launching a coaching program. She's also a coach already of young women, mountain biking, and she does ski biking. Different than snowboarding. And whenever I go to visit, I'm always pushed a bit. I've been getting myself in good shape so I can keep up with my beautiful daughter. I don't disappoint her. Watching out for those white rings, not to cover it up. I think of what my daughter's coaching is. She's in an inspirational, financial, and motivational life kind of coach. She has invested a lot of money into these different categories to be able to be considered an expert in them, and has been coaching me for a while. And I was playing around with green screen yesterday. It was because the podcast will be starting. I know some people would just like me to only do sewing. But I do the other things. I've coordinated my life to include my loves. Not that I don't love sewing. I just happen to love a lot of things. So part of my week is Creative Feet, and then the other part, I don't work on it at all. I do answer the phone, but that's about it. And it will all tie in together. My plan goes together the way I want. What do you think? Is it coming alive? Does that change everything to make it more realistic? I think I have like the impression leaf under there. Follow it. It looks cool. This is me rambling. All right, those are the bubbles, and I'm not going to go that dark. Have I been bumping the camera too much? Because, I mean, it's great to have a camera right here, but it's hard to not bump it as a human. This is better than it's ever been, because that's what I'm thinking. And I don't know until afterward if things look good. Do they look good to you guys? Because I see it on my computer. Is the camera good? And don't just be nice. Tell me the truth. It's easier always to start where you left off on another rock. What am I doing wrong? It wasn't moving, and I know what I'm doing because I designed all this stuff. See, I couldn't figure out how to get it to move. That's because I'm having so much fun, and I'm using my brain differently. Hop over. Not hop over. For those of you who've stuck through all of my learning about how to go live, thank you so much for being so patient with me. I look back at some of my videos and I realize I need to do them again now that I've got everything good. My hand is hurting a little bit. I still keep hurting myself, and the doctor said it'll get better. And that is what's going on, is my wrist keeps going out of joint. It was out of joint for so long, the muscles have the tendons and the connective tissue is all a little bit sloppy, and it will get better. So don't worry about me. I always look at my physical challenges as an opportunity to make things easier for everyone. And what was going on and how I hurt myself originally was by walking really fast. I was feeling really good, and this beautiful butterfly walked in front of me. And I said, oh my goodness, look at that. And I looked at the butterfly, and I was new to the neighborhood. And there was we have the sidewalk, big giant sections of sidewalk. And right when I turned to look at the butterfly, and I was going really fast on my walk, I hit an 1.5 to 2-inch high paver of sorts. And I went really fast. Now, this wasn't my first fall since I moved into this neighborhood. The first time I did the same kind of thing. So I had a clumsy period, but now I have made a commitment to myself to stay upright. In case you're thinking I have some kind of disease, I don't want you guys to be worrying about me. I have had a lot of emails, people trying to recommend, thinking that I have some kind of disease, and I don't. I'm good. I'm very healthy. I'm through being clumsy. Oh, I just love how it just makes, and the rocks are actually puffy too, which makes this even more dimensional. I think I'm going to use this color to go below this guy. I'm getting carried away. Still need to do the scales on this fish. I said I was going to stick to this area over here. Is that coming to life? Hello, Georgia from Florida. You got Georgia, Dallas. Is that your name? What is your name? It looks like you got a bunch of different states. No, Dallas isn't a state. Are you Georgia, Dallas? That is such an unusual name if you are. Welcome to the feed. Are you new to my channel, or have you been here before? You guys should be welcoming everyone. I'm getting hungry. So to give you an idea of what's going on, if you are not familiar with what I'm doing, that is your name. That's cool. I have a frame beneath, which is bigger than the frame on top, and then the quilt, which doesn't have a backing on it. And I did ink this fabric or create the artwork that I'm stitching on. And this is basically just having fun stitching on the fabric and trying not to ruin the artwork by doing it. And then you use these little pillows and rest your elbow and your other elbow as well, which I don't have room for over here, which is partly why my wrist is getting a little sore, because I don't have anywhere for my arm to be in order for the cameras to see better. And here we go. This is a presser foot, a Free-Motion foot that I have on the machine. If you're not sewing on inked fabric frequently, you don't need a presser foot at all. So this allows you to draw and you grab the corner of the top frame and bring it into the corner of the frame beneath it, and that locks the quilt in there, and that enables you to have a lot of fun without carrying the quilt around. I'm trying not to ruin the art here, so I have this swirl and I'm making sure that I don't stitch on the swirl. And I'll go after and cut that away. So I'm tying a little knot by just doing some stitches in this close proximity to one another. There's a rock under there. Now this machine allows me to not bring my bobbin thread up. I don't even have to hold my threads when I start. If your machine does, that's what you want to do. No, because you'll have your thread start to loop on the bottom. If you don't, your thread can break while you're sewing. One of the benefits of having a newer machine. The only drag about using one of these feet is you can't see. So what I'm doing is not looking at the needle, I'm looking ahead of where I'm going. And if I can't see it, then I'll stop and move my head and get my bearings so that I don't ruin it. To stop yourself from going too fast, you can use your speed control. If you have a mechanical machine and it does not have any speed control on it, you can use an eraser and break off a piece of an eraser and put it under the foot control so the foot control can't go all the way down. It's also a good way to start children. On mechanical sewing machines. I didn't think that was sewn. It was. Back around. That almost looks like a turtle. Did I make it into a turtle? Do you guys want to vote? Be a little turtle if it's a turtle. Does look like one though. That good. Turtle on there, turtle. There you guys. There you go. All right, that's not a very good head. Now it looks like a turtle. Smaller rocks. It is stormy. What better thing to do in a stormy day than quilt or stitch out on fabric? Which fun, you guys. I could go in there with some more ink and accentuate his body parts as well, because I created this fabric. So we can play around with it and make it better, even though we've already stitched. scooting over. Put the ring of water, ripple of water on there. Need to do a little more over there. When you go quickly, your stitches get closer together. If you think about how fast or slow you're going, you're more likely to not be consistent. I'm going to go ahead and evaluate again. We always do the evaluation between decisions so you don't regret, when you can see how those rocks are now three-dimensional. Yes, they are. How cool. I'm not sure that if it's coming off as distinctly different on camera as it is in person, but over here it's stitched all around, and over here they're not. Can you tell? Can you see the puffiness? So now, if I weren't impatient and wanting to do a ring of white ripple and do some bubbles, then I would continue with the discipline and go around and do all the rocks all at once, which is not something that you normally can do when quilting. To be able to just hop around all over, because generally you'll end up with puckers or the fabric starts to shift on you. But because the Octi-Hoops raise up the quilt from below, it doesn't have any of that resistance or drag on the quilt itself. So I could just be good and go all the way around and do that. But I promised I would do a little of the ripple. And I have my white thread ready. I will limit myself to the bubbles around here and one ripple, and then we'll end the live for today. Did he look like a turtle to you? Does it show up now as a little turtle? Oh, I didn't do the yeah, I can still, let me just finish him off. He needs his shell shapes. See how fun it is? It's so much fun. It's kind of like I have a marker, except for it's not a marker, it's a needle. What you're hearing is me wearing these like a bracelet, and they're banging against my table. So I need to create the actual shell shape to make him look more like a turtle. And I know that he would not be a sea turtle because it's a little pond and he's an itty bitty little turtle. But all I have in my head is a sea turtle, so we'll see how well I do. So I'm drawing with this. You can see how it's not attached to anything. It isn't until I grab the corner of the top frame and bring it into the bottom frame that has the same shape that it then moves as if it's one. As if it's clamped on somehow, but not. It's just loose. It's very easy to work with. All right. We'll see how I do here. All right, angels. It's so really good. Cut this tail. I'm always quieter when I haven't done what I'm doing before. I'm forced to think, which uses two different parts of the brain, me stitching while talking. So if I get real boring, that's why. And keep in mind, I have no idea. Just trying to use my memory as to what a turtle shell looks like. Now I can't see because the foot is in the way. I'm going to raise it and kind of look. I'm looking past it. What do you think? Tiny little tail. Other foot out of view. This is basically drawing with the sewing machine. That more like a turtle now, or did I go too far? Okay. In this situation, I'm going to make sure that I have white bobbin thread. And you can see the color I was using throughout this entire project was this pretty seafoam green or mint green. And this is what it looks like on the back side. So the top threads were coming through to the bottom, and that's okay. We just don't want the bobbin thread to come up to the top because we want people to see what we want them to see on the top. So even though I was using a light color thread, it looks like there's dark stitching on there. I want to make sure I have white thread in the needle and the bobbin because I don't want any impurity in the color of the ripple going around on the water. And you can use a matching weighted bobbin and thread type. This is 100 weight Invasifil number 105. And I don't know about our inventory on that color. Raising the presser foot, even though there is, well, generally there isn't a foot. I do have a foot on the machine right now. If you don't raise the foot, you're not opening the tension discs on there. I'll probably go in with some more ink and make that turtle look more turtle-ish. Now I look all washed out like I don't have enough color. Oh well. So if you're not new to sewing, the larger the number, the thinner the thread. 100 weight being one of the thinnest threads in the industry. And this is 100% polyester that's been treated to look like cotton. So it doesn't reflect the light and distract from the artwork that we're stitching on. It's also fantastic for working with sheer fabrics. And because I'm using a 70-10 needle, there isn't room for the needle threader from my sewing machine to go through the eye of the needle. Because of that, I am using a needle threader, a little handheld needle threader, to help me get the thread through the eye of the needle, because I'm at that age. Remember when I was younger, I could do that without glasses. Now, one of the things I did when I made these swirls is I didn't make it a constant white. So we'll see how it looks. I think it's still going to be cool. And what I'm going to do is sew on both sides of the white line. You might be tempted to just stitch right through the center of it, but it'll lose dimension. And this is all about having things puff up. Guess I'll start here. This is not a pure white. It's a little bit off. Always better to be slightly below the color when you're going for white, because you want the white ink to really pop. My time, and it's okay for me to cross over everything because this is the top. This is the surface of the water. Elbows down, shoulders relaxed, can't see where I'm going. I'm going to lift and just kind of peek beneath there. Looks like that one just ends there. And I'm going to come back and go on the other side of it. I think I ended up on the same side. I did. So I'm going to go back and join that. I was thinking about something else and I lost my train of thought. So now I've joined up. Cut the thread. Come back over. I think I'll start in the middle. That makes more sense. Partly why I'm using a really small needle, because we're doing really fine details. So now I've lost it because there's just no ink there. So I'm forced to use my imagination. It's a carryover thread from before. So I can look under there and peek. It's almost like it doesn't connect. Let us down. Once again, we've lost our circle. Round and round and round I go. This is one of those scary moments that artists go through when we create art and then we have to paint over the top of it. And you gotta go, it's okay to not be perfect. The art isn't either. I deliberately paint with a very loose style, so it's hard to find a mistake in a loose style because you don't know what, if there was any intention. I think I really want the bright white for the bubbles. I'm going to do that. I keep forgetting that this is not a really shiny thread, having been deliberately made to look more like cotton than polyester. So it doesn't really detract from the art. And I think it looks cool. Let's see if I can give you a little bit closer look. Put a little light on that. Can you even see the thread? It's in there. See how it's got, now there's shadows created from the light, showing you the depth that has been created by quilting around it. All right, so my question for you guys is, do you have any more in you? Are you ready for me to quit? Are you ready to get off your computers or TV sets, cell phones, iPads, and get to making dinner? Or do you want to watch me do a set of bubbles? I do have a perfect bright white. Hello, hello, hello. Is anybody there? What have you guys got on the stove? You guys cooking? I know some of you, it's pretty late. Know that you can watch this on the replay. And if you've yet to subscribe to my channel and you're having a good time, I sure hope you'll subscribe today and join me for another live. Join me in my school, Create with Claire Rowley, and that is the .com. You'll find the links in the description below the video after this video has ended, as I am currently live. I'm threading my needle with a threader because my needle size is a 70-10 and it is too small for the average needle threader to push thread through the hole of the eye of your needle. I have dropped so many things because the batting is grabby. And that would normally be a difficult thing to deal with, but because the bottom, the frame that we put beneath lifts the frame, the quilt up, it makes the batting not sticky on the sewing machine. My camera got moved, so bear with me a second. Okay, let's see how I can do on these bubbles. Have you ever sat and stared inside of a koi pond before? There is something magical about it. Start here. These would be considered really challenging to do out the Octi-Hoops because they're small circles that I'm able to turn or make a circle by moving my fingers instead of moving my entire body or lifting my elbows up and moving the entire quilt with my hands spread apart. So that's why I'm able to be so accurate. This would normally be very difficult to do. You're having whatever in the freezer. What I'm doing is I'm going to go around the outer. I may only go once around the bubbles. See. I can see better on the screen than I can with my eyes. Except for I get a little woozy when I try to look at that. I get quiet when I haven't done something before. I've not quilted around bubbles before. My first time. It feels so good to actually be almost finishing something. So many of my projects don't get finished. And I know that's a familiar theme for quilters and sewers, is to have a lot of unfinished projects. How many unfinished projects do you think that you have? Speaking of unfinished projects, I found my quilt. I did. I found it the day before yesterday. One of you was asking me about it recently. What about your quilt? What do you think, you guys? Doesn't that look cool? Oh, I like it. I think that's really making it look bubbly. I was concerned it was like I was overdoing it, but I think it's looking good. I will not be live next week on Fabrically Speaking Live. I will not have a sewing machine with me. I will be in Colorado. I likely will be on a paddleboard floating down a river. Did that make it better or worse? Adding the thread make it look better? You know how we can compare? We can compare by looking at these bubbles. So there's no thread and there's thread. Which one looks better? The bubbles with stitching or without? I hope you liked this video. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I sure hope you'll do so today. I'm Claire Rowley, inventor of the Creative Feet and the Octi-Hoops. I'm also a fine artist, author, and teacher at createwithclarerowley.com, which is about to really blow up with classes in sewing, quilting, embroidery, painting, and also creative writing. And thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you the week after next on Fabrically Speaking Live. However, there will be videos popping up between now and then, and I will not be neglecting you, I promise. See you soon. Thanks for watching, and bye. Mwah.